Everybody. We're going to pick up right where we left off with exercise one, where we've got a figure that's already inked, digitally inked, an outline, ready to go. What we're going to do this time is we're going to add some color. Okay. Actually, what it's going to be is color flatting. Okay. Color flatting is when you add base colors to an illustration. Okay, so let's get this thing ready to go. First off, I need to click there. My pencils are visible again, and my ink's there. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a layer that's going to be a color flat layer. So let's add that. Now what I'm going to do though is I'm going to put this underneath my inks layer. Okay, now the reason for that is going to be pretty obvious pretty soon. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a proper name. We'll call this, actually, I'm going to keep the color for the two different characters on two separate layers, so we'll call this Arnza. That's the main. Can't spell this morning. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add the other one too, and that'll be color. Okay. So basically, when you are doing digital color, you want to keep the color for the different characters on different layers. Okay, so they don't mess with each other. Okay, so let's go ahead and start adding color to this. Okay, let's see. I think we'll just start with a flesh tone. So let's go over here. You might want to make your own custom colors. I've got a bunch of swatches right here that actually have a lot of colors that I have created specifically for different projects. Okay, so this right here, I double click on it, tell you what that, oh, that's fingernail color. Whoops, cancel. Yeah, Arns of Flesh #1. Okay, so that is a a couple of colors that I created for the specific character. So if you want to go ahead and create some colors of your own, some custom colors, you can save them as swatches and reuse them again and again and again. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll load this up with my first flesh color here. Now what I'm going to do though, instead of using, you'd automatically think, oh, let's use the paintbrush. No, you don't want to do that. What you actually want to do is you want to use the pencil for color flatting. Okay. Now, right now, the pencil is at a 5-point or 5-point size. I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I think let's take that up to about 10. Okay, because for flatting, you're just going to be doing some real basic work. I'm at 200% right there. That's maybe a little bit close, but I can peel it back if I need to. Let's see how that looks. All right. Now what I'm doing is I'm using the pencil tool to just outline the area that I want to have the flat in. Okay. Now the thing is, the pencil tool leaves a real sort of, I guess you'd say, bit or pixely sort of an edge. But that's why we have the color layer underneath the ink layer. The ink layer will hide the rough edge. Okay? So, do something like that. Now I'm going around these particular areas because I don't want them to fill in. Okay, it's going to fill in anything within the space here, but this will create a guard against the rest. So if I take away the, you can see I want this left white and this left white too. Okay, so then once I've got my area outlined, I can just take my brush and just pop that in. It'll fill the whole thing up. It makes the whole process of adding color a lot quicker and simpler. Now, the reason these are called color flats is because on these basic layers here, we're not going to have any sort of shading at all. Okay, it's just going to be the flat color. Shading we'll do separately later on. I'm also going to be adding some color swatches to the page itself. Basically, this is going to be a akin to what we would call a character design sheet, which is an animation thing, but we also use them in comics too. Okay, now let me show you real quickly what would happen if you do an area with a paintbrush. Okay, I got my paintbrush here. I don't want to do a huge area because I don't want to take the time to do it. I'll just, whoops, that was a little off. And it also helps to give you control over your stylus on your Wacom if you just play around with these things. We'll just do this kind of rough. We'll just, call that good. Okay, so let me show you. If you happen to use the brush instead of the pencil, see that? Look at that. There's a certain amount of feathering, okay, on the brush. And that makes this kind of white line in between the fill. Okay, so if you use your pencil tool, you're not going to get that. Let's take it right back to where we were. I'm going to use there we are. I think that just about did it. Using the history palette. Again, that's a really handy thing. All right, so let's go ahead and add a little pencil color here. Just creating the outlines. Notice that I'm leaving the fingernail blank for now. That's because I've got a color, a different color for that. I think you already saw it in an earlier little bit there. I don't have to do every finger because this is just going to fill in the whole area here. Then we just take our paint bucket tool. Now it's a little closer here, so we got to fill in just a touch more here and there. Okay. Now I have a tendency when I am doing colors to just go through and do all one color all at once, and then move on to the next color and so on and so forth. It's a little heavy right there. Let's get rid of that. I got a little bit of, I don't want to say it's complicated color, but there's all this stuff down here that's little bits and pieces. I would have to draw complicated sandals on this thing. Now, some people, when they're doing color, they'll use their magic wand tool to select, say like here, select certain areas, and then use that to um, use that to select areas to fill in color. I don't like doing that. Hang on. Excuse me. Allergies. Anyway, because again, you get that kind of fuzzy white line from feathering. So I'm just, I just kind of do I don't say old school, but kind of do it the way that I was taught. Um, a lot of the stuff that I'm showing you today came from a professor that I had in grad school. Her name was Jennifer Oliver. She was a Disney animator. Really interesting person to have as a professor. Her class was a character design course, and so like I said, this real basic sort of basic character sheet stuff. A lot of it came from that class. Actually, I need to make my pencil just a little bit smaller here. Yeah, 6 ought to do it. There we go. Now, as far as the actual drawing of the character or whatever you want to do, like I said in the earlier video, you can draw your own, or if you want to just find some sort of a pencil sketch of a fairly simple character online and use that as your basis, that's fine. This is not about character design. This is about learning how to use your Wacom stylus and Photoshop. So adding these little bits all through here. Okay, and let's move on. I might have the character of Dex. I might have that be a slightly different, um, different flesh tone. I haven't really decided yet. These characters, as I said in the earlier thing, they're going to be appearing in a little comic anthology that's coming out. And I think February is the projected date for it. It's just kind of a fun thing. I had these characters in my head for a long time, and I had an opportunity through a publisher that I've known for many, many years um, to do something with them. It's always handy to have some artwork I mean, uh, close by that you can send to someone if you need to. So he was describing this new publication to me a little bit, and I was like, "Hey, I think I got the perfect thing for you." And so I sent him a little concept art, and he was like, "Great, you're in. Go for it." So yeah, I even asked him, I was like, "Hey, do you want to see a script?" And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "I trust you." So I'm like, "Cool." So now I got to come up with a little story. It's a sword and sorcery anthology, which ought to be fun. Um, sword and sorcery. If you're not familiar with that term, that's Conan the Barbarian kind of stuff. Except these guys, I don't know. I just wanted to be a little bit different than the usual stuff. So usual sword and sorcery stuff. So but they're gonna be in the same sort of adventures where with sword and sorcery stuff, there's always a you know some sort of person in distress that needs to be rescued. There's always some sort of evil sorcerer, and there's usually somebody, swinging a sword around. Hence the name. But like I said, ought to be a fun little project. A little closer there. Again, I just draw just enough to kind of hint at like toenails and stuff like that. Put in all the detail. Zoom out just a touch. And again, when I zoom in and zoom out, instead of going up to view, and doing it that way, what I use is just Control plus or minus. It's those hotkeys. You want to learn those hotkeys, boy, I tell you, it'll make your life a lot easier. You can do things a lot quicker. Okay, so there. Now, his flesh is all filled in. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go over here to the corner, and I'm going to put in a color guide. Okay. These are things that you use to, well, they're for quick and easy switching and stuff. So I'm going to put in hold on my shift key. I'm going to put in a square here. Okay. And this square, notice that the fill is the color that I was just using. Okay. So that's going to be my first color swatch that's going to be on the sheet. Again, this is something that that we use in animation. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to got that entitled and stuff. Okay. Now, thing is though, I need to flatten this out though for later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to because right now it's a smart shape. So let's add a new layer, and we'll take this layer and we'll just merge down. Okay, now it's just a shape with a color in it. See, and I can use that again and again with the different colors that I want to sample. But okay, so that's going to be let's see, arms. Flesh. Let's call it that, and I'm also going to name it. Okay, so I clicked on my text tool, and let's see. I need to have a decent font because the one that I had going I don't think was quite right. So let's go ahead and grab. See if I can find it. Something fairly simple that's easy to read. I think that I could go with something kind of cute and clever, but I don't think I want to do that. Actually, you know what? Let's go with this one here. This is a good cartoony one. That's way too big. Oh, look at that, 104. So let's take that down to like 12. That looks about right. So we'll call this arms of flesh. Okay, line that up. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing as I progress here is I'm going to be adding colors and putting my sample box over here at the side. Okay. Another thing I'm going to do too, though, is I'm going to take my layers and probably organize them. Okay. Now this is going to take a little extra time. It's a little bit boring, so I'm going to pause the recording and get right back to you. Sorry about that. I had to, like I said, there was a little bit of tedious stuff that I needed to do. What I basically was doing though is I was just creating a file folder. Okay, you can see over here now that the flesh box, the flesh colored box, and the name are inside of a separate folder. Again, this goes back to making sure your layers um, are you know, organized and easy to manage. Okay, so there's the box. There's the other thing. See, they're indented over here. The box and the name. Okay, and I can collapse those if I want. Okay, and they're out of the way. I can open those back up when I want to add another box. So let's go back to the Arnza color layer here, and let's do his cloak. Okay, and that's going to be kind of a red, a deep red. So we'll go there. Zoom in a little bit. We're at 100%. That's probably fine. Let's check our size here. I'm going to take this back up to 10. Okay, so I got a nice big brush. And again, I am on the color layer that's underneath the ink layer, which, in my opinion, that's the best way to go because it hides the edges. If I take the ink layer off, you can see how rough this looks. See, look at that. But once you've got your ink lines over top of your color, it hides just a world of sins. So I'm just going slowly around here, much slower than I would wish. Now we're just doing the basic color here. Eventually what I might do is I might have the interior of the cloak be a different shade than the rest, but that'll come later. Like I said, this is just flats, just the flat colors with a color guide so that if you're working with other people or anything, your colorist will know exactly what base colors you're using. So, all right, let's see if I got the whole thing. Yep, there we go. Now this bit through here is narrow enough that it'll just be this area that I need to fill in. A lot of times too, people will just kind of, if it's that small of an area, they'll just use the pencil tool just to color the thing in, just like scribble it in, and that's fine. Whatever do whatever's comfortable for you. Oh, look at that. I need to fix that. His leg, I think I left out a little bit of an ink line there. See how his leg kind of disappeared behind there? And that's what happens sometimes when you're inking, you miss a spot. And it's like, oh boy, but you catch it later. I'm sure it was in the pencils, but just missed it there. That's kind of flow of the thing. A little closer there. There. All right, let's drop that in there. Okay. Now, while we have this this color still loaded, let's go ahead and make another box. Just going to make a little square. Actually, I'm going to pre-transform that, make it about the right size. All right, let's see if that looks about right. Close enough. Okay. Now this rectangle is going to be his cloak, so we'll put. Jeez, if I could get his name right. Cloak. Okay, so we got those things all set. Their size is a little off. That bugs me. I'm a little anal about stuff, so I'm going to free transform that by just making it just there. That looks about right. Okay, let's line those up. Okay. And let's go ahead and hit our now look at that, because I still have that the same color loaded. It wound up being that color, but that's a quick fix. Just double click on that and just boom. There we are. Okay. So now we got that all set. Now we need to do those. Let's get this organized over here in the layers palette. Okay. I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can actually see my layers. Okay. I'm going to open that back up. I'm going to take my Arnza Cloak layer. I'm going to put it in there along with the square. Square is still a live object, so I might need to change that, because if I the reason that I need to have these not be live objects is this color can change. If this happens to be selected and I click on a different color, it'll change it automatically. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to add a new layer right there, pull it back down, take this and Control E. Okay, I'll call that cloak box. Again, I know it seems really kind of retentive to be labeling all this kind of stuff in the layers palette, but it really makes it a lot easier to layer on. Now let's go back to this. One of the reasons that I wanted to show you the basics of color flatting with the pencil is, let's say you're working with someone and they say, you know what, yeah, this looks great, but I think the cloak ought to be a different color. Let's make it a lighter shade of red. And you're like, okay, so, let's just grab a lighter shade of red, maybe not that light. That was a little bright, so let's try there. Okay, so if we have this, if they wanted to go with a new color, you can easily just sort of click, 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 and there, you're done. You don't have to go through all the trouble to making something, completely different. Or if they say, oh, let's have it be a green cloak. All right, click, 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 click. Easy, quick switch out. And then if you do that, of course, you got to change the box there. Okay, so that's why you want to keep your you want to use a pencil, and you want to have your color flats on different layers. Okay, I'm gonna pause this and finish putting in my color flats and pick it up in just a moment. I like to try and keep these videos at just about a half an hour or so. Okay, so I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm not quite done with this yet, but I thought I'd do just a little bit of an update here. As you can see, I've finished coloring in the main character here, and I've started working on the secondary character. Their colors are on separate layers, respectively. Okay. Notice too, though. Okay, this main character here has a white tunic and white headband. Now the thing is about that though is if I take away the background color, you see I've actually filled it in white. Okay, and again that's so if I need to change the color out, it's not just going to be the background color. It's the flatting is already there. The main thing is having the shapes available so you can drop that color in case you want to change it later on. Okay, you can see I've done that with the other character here. I'm starting to continue on. I've also moved the little boxes and all of that and the names. Of course, they are all over here, organized in my layers palette. They're in a separate file folder. So I've got my inks, my color for the main character, color for the secondary character, pencils which are turned off in my background, and this is on the very top where I can open up if I need to, but I probably won't need to at this point. Okay, I'll pick it up again when this thing is complete. Okay, everybody. Now, as you can see here, the flats are now completed. Okay, all the color flatting has been done. It's on separate layers here. You've got the file folders that are the color samples for both characters. Okay, so these are in separate folders on separate layers. Okay, and also the color for each character is on. They're on separate layers as well. So you can turn the visibility on and off there. Okay. Again, even where there's white, okay, we turn that off. Even where there's white, we have that filled in. So it is actually a color there. Okay. I've got one last thing I need to do here, and that is I'm going to be using this probably on my website for the character, and probably sending this sample sheet off to the publisher, so he has an idea of what to expect. So I'm going to actually put my logo on there. So I'm going to grab this. It's a great thing about Photoshop. You can grab just just pop this down in a separate window, take this over here and just drag it over here. Now, what that's going to do, though, of course, it's really big, because when you make logos, they're way bigger than artwork a lot of the time. So I'm going to have to move this. I'm going to have to go way up here. I'm going to have to rename it. Whoops, let's undo that. Put it right about there. And rename it, because I hadn't done that yet. Okay, and then we'll do a free transform. So we're going to resize it. And if you just go from the corner right down. There we go. Doesn't have to be very big, just big enough that I've got my logo on there. Okay. Okay, there's my little logo. There's my got my little trademark on there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. Okay. And now the last thing, and this is very important, okay, is I'm going to create a new layer and fill this thing with black. Grab my paintbrush. Go down here, very corner, and do this. There. Gotta put your signature on stuff. All right. So we're done, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do is add some shading and stuff like that in the next video, okay? Remember, these are just the flats, okay? I will probably keep a copy of this just as flats, but the next time around, we're going to actually add some highlights and some shadows and all of that. It'll be fun, okay? I'll talk to you then.